Biomed Nexus Daily Updates, your essential biotech, medtech, and pharma recap. No noise, just what matters. TLDR Biopharma M&A reached 84B in Q1 2026, the strongest start to a year since 2019, according to Dealogic data cited by Reuters. If the pace holds, total 2026 deal value could exceed 250B, which would rank second only to 2019, when the BMS-Celgene mega-merger drove record activity, according to Dealogic data cited by Reuters. Deep cash reserves, attractive biotech valuations, and patent cliff urgency are driving the spree. Teva Pharmaceutical, Teva, announced a definitive agreement on April 29th to acquire Emalex Biosciences for up to $900 million, 700 matters upfront, plus $200 in commercial milestones, plus royalties. Emalex's lead asset, ecopipam, is a first-in-class selective dopamine D1 receptor antagonist with positive Phase 3 data in pediatric Tourette syndrome. Jefferies called it Teva's largest deal in a decade. Purdue Pharma permanently ceased operations on May 1st following the conclusion of its Chapter 11 proceedings. Noah Pharma began operations as the independent successor entity. DDW, Digestive Disease Week, is underway in San Diego, May 2nd to 5. ASCO is 4 weeks out, May 29th to June 2nd, Chicago, with Revolution Medicine's plenary session on May 31st. Executive takeaway: the Reuters M&A analysis published Thursday puts the 2026 deal wave in historical context. Q1 deal value hit 84B, nearly double the $44. 4B in Q1 2025 and the strongest start to a year since 2019. If the current pace holds through Q4, total 2026 biopharma M&A could exceed 250 Bs. That would be the second highest total in history, behind only 2019, which included BMS-Celgene. The drivers are structural, not cyclical. The patent cliff is creating 320B in revenue exposure by 2030, per industry estimates. Cash reserves are deep, biotech valuations remain below 2021 highs, and a wave of positive Phase 3 readouts is creating acquisition targets with de-risked assets. Lilly alone has deployed approximately $20 billion across 6 deals. Gilead committed $15 billion across 3. Merck, AbbVie, and Novartis have all been active. Teva's $900 million Emalex acquisition is notable because it shows mid-cap pharma is now joining the spree, not just the mega-caps. Teva's CEO Richard Francis called it our pivot to growth strategy in action. The Foundayo launch narrative continues to develop. Lilly reported 2,000+ patients have started the drug, but the week 2 TRX of 3707 remains below analyst expectations of approximately 8,000. Novo's oral Wegovy hit 18,410 in its second full week. The competitive gap is real. Whether it closes depends on the trajectory over the next 4 to 8 weeks. Read Full Analysis What to Watch, Foundayo Weeks 3 through 6. The TRX acceleration curve is the single most important near-term data point in pharma. RBC said weeks 8 through 12 are the earliest window for true assessment. Novo Nordisk, Q1 earnings, first oral Wegovy revenue numbers due soon, will provide the competitive benchmark for Foundayo. ASCO, May 31. Revolution Medicine's plenary session with full Phase 3, Resolute 302 data, 4 weeks out, the most anticipated oncology presentation of the year. M&A continuation, with 84B in Q1 and the pace accelerating in April. Watch for mid-cap pharma entries, Teva, UCB, Chiesi, alongside the mega-cap buyers. FDA RTCT comment period, May 29th. Public comment on the real-time clinical trial pilot closes. The program launches this summer. Corporate and business developments: Teva acquires Emalex for up to $900 million in its biggest deal in a decade. Teva, what happened? Teva announced a definitive agreement on April 29 to acquire Emalex Biosciences for $700 million upfront, plus up to $200 million in commercial milestones and royalties on global ecopipam net sales. Teva will fund the upfront from cash on hand, close expected by Q3 2026. The asset, ecopipam is a first-in-class selective dopamine D1 receptor antagonist being developed for pediatric Tourette syndrome, a condition with significant unmet need. Ecopipam has FDA Orphan Drug and Fast Track designations. Positive Phase 3 data demonstrated statistically significant improvement on the primary efficacy endpoint. NDA submission is anticipated in H2 2026. No approved treatments currently exist that selectively target the D1 receptor in Tourette syndrome. Executive Impact, CEO. Richard Francis called it our pivot to growth strategy in action. Jefferies analyst Dennis Ding described the deal as interesting and said it makes sense given the synergies between ecopipam and Teva's existing neurology portfolio, including Austedo for tardive dyskinesia and Huntington's chorea. Biopharma Dive called it Teva's largest deal in a decade. The acquisition is part of Teva's broader transformation from a generics-focused company to one with a growing innovative pipeline. Purdue Pharma ceases operations. Kanoa Pharma emerges. Purdue Pharma permanently ceased operations on May 1, 2026, following the conclusion of its Chapter 11 bankruptcy proceedings. Kanoa Pharma began operations as an independent successor company focused on ensuring safe access to critical medicines and supporting communities affected by the opioid crisis. The closure ends the corporate existence of one of the most controversial pharmaceutical companies in American history. By the numbers. The M&A machine Reuters reported on May 1st that biopharma deal-making is on pace for its biggest year since 2019 $84B, Q1 2026 M&A deal value, Dealogic, up from $44. 4B in Q1 2025, 250B plus, projected full year 2026, total if current pace holds, second only to 2019 per Dealogic, 320B, estimated revenue at risk from patent cliff through 2030, 6 IPOs above 300 audit. 6 biotechs have raised $300 million plus in 2026 IPOs, 2 above $400 million, Biopharma Dive, 20B plus, Lilly's 2026 M&A total, 6 deals, 15B, Gilead's Q1 M&A total, 3 deals. Key drivers, deep cash reserves, attractive valuations, positive Phase 3 readouts, patent cliff urgency, regulatory clarity under Macquarie the week in review, April 28, Monday. FDA launched real-time clinical trial initiative, AstraZeneca Traverse, Amgen Stream SCLC. Novartis Q1 miss, Entresto down, 42%, 1311B versus 1340B expected. Lilly Profluent 225B AI gene editing collaboration, April 29th, Tuesday. Chiesi Calvista 1-9B, Ectoli hereditary angioedema. Abivai Kestrel 145B crass option deal. AstraZeneca Q1 beat, 15B bullish on 80 by 2030 target. GSK Q1 beat, Shingrix plus 20%. Teva Emelex 900 Menetus, Ecopipam, pediatric Tourette. Boehringer Zealand obesity, Phase 3 hit, April 30, Wednesday. Lilly Q1 blowout 19, AB revenue, plunge on 56%, beat by 2B plus. Mounjaro 8, 7B, plunge on 25%. Zepbound $4, 1B, plunge 79%. Combined GLP-1 12-8B, guidance raised 2B to 82B to 85B. Foundayo 2,000 plus patients started, 3707 TRX week, 2 below the 8,000 estimates. T2D filing late Q2 confirmed. May Fund Thursday, Reuters, Q1 M&A hit 84B, on pace for 250B plus, second biggest year ever. Purdue Pharma ceased operations. Kanoa Pharma emerged. Biopharma Dive, 6 biotech IPOs above $300 T in 2026. The week ahead. Now DDW annual meeting, San Diego through May 5. This week next, Novo Nordisk, Q1 earnings, first oral Wegovy revenue. May 6, Royalty Pharma Q1 earnings. May 11, Daiichi Sankyo, delayed earnings, tariff impact. May 12 to 14, Fierce Biotech Week, Boston. May 19th, RBC Global Healthcare Conference, New York. May 29th, FDA RTCT Public Comment Period, closes May 29th to June 7th, ASCO Annual Meeting, Chicago. May 31, ASCO Plenary, Resolute 302, Full Data, RVMD, Read, Full Analysis Biomed, Nexus. Pro-Institutional Intelligence Brief, the 250B year in context Reuters analysis using Dealogic data puts the 2026 M&A surge in perspective. Q1 deal value of 84 Bs is nearly double Q1 2025, $44 4B, and represents the strongest start to a year since 2019. If the current pace holds, total 2026 deal value could exceed 250 Bs. For context, 2019 holds the all-time record, Dealogic, driven by the BMS Celgene mega merger. Jefferies estimated 111 Bs in total 2025 M&A. A 250 B year in 2026 would represent a step change, not just a recovery. 3 analysts, 4 investors, and a banker told Reuters the surge is broader and more durable than just a rebound to pre-COVID years. The structural drivers are clear. The patent cliff creates urgency, Keytruda 2028, Humira ongoing, Eliquis ongoing, cash reserves are deep, BMO estimated $18, 6B for Amgen, 33D, 6B for AbbVie, 53B for Novartis earlier this year, and a wave of positive Phase 3 readouts has created a historically deep pool of de-risked acquisition targets. The pace has not slowed entering Q2. April alone saw Lilly Colonia 7B, Lilly Crossbridge 300 enters, Lilly Ajax 23B, Chiesi Calvista 19B, Teva Emalex 900 enten, UCB Neurona 115B, and multiple licensing deals, Abivax, Kestrel, Lilly, Profluent. May is setting up to be equally active, with ASCO data drops likely to create new acquisition targets. Foundayo launch, the updated picture, week TRX notes, week 1 ending April 10, 1392, days of capture, week 2 ending April 17 to 3707 first full week, below is 8,000 analyst expectations, 20,000 plus patients, started per CEO Ricks, CNBC April 30, includes Lilly Direct plus telehealth, may not fully appear in IQVIA. The gap between 3707 TRX and the 2,000 plus patients Ricks cited suggests a significant portion of Foundayo prescriptions are flowing through channels IQVIA does not fully capture. Lilly Direct, certain telehealth platforms. Lilly noted 12-plus telehealth firms account for 35% of launch volume. For comparison, Novo's oral Wegovy, week 1 was 3071, week 2 was 18410. The 5x gap in week 2 is the number that spooked investors and led to the LLY stock decline prior to the Q1 earnings beat. Revised 2026 Foundayo revenue estimates range from $1.03B to $1.07B, down from initial expectations of 4B to 5B. At 3707 TRX week, Foundayo is tracking toward 13,000 total prescriptions by year end. The low end of estimates 13B requires $300,000. Foundayo needs to roughly triple its weekly run rate, achievable but not guaranteed. Teva's transformation. Teva's acquisition of Emalex is part of a broader strategic pivot from generics to innovation. The company has been building a growing innovative portfolio around Austedo, tardive dyskinesia, Huntington's chorea, Ajovy, migraine, and Uzedy, schizophrenia. Ecopipam adds a first-in-class neuroscience asset with NDA-ready Phase 3 data and a clear commercial opportunity. Tourette syndrome affects approximately 1 in 160 children aged 5 to 17 in the US. There are currently no FDA-approved D1 selective treatments. Existing options, antipsychotics, carry significant side effect burdens. Ecopipam's D1 selectivity is the key differentiator. It avoids the D2 receptor blockade that causes many of the sedation and metabolic side effects associated with current treatments. Jefferies called it Teva's largest deal in a decade and said the synergies with Teva's neurology commercial infrastructure make sense. The NDA filing in H2 2026 positions Ecopipam for potential approval in 2027, giving Teva a new growth driver as it navigates the generics pricing pressures that have weighed on the company for years. Catalyst calendar, May 2026, forward date event ticker, now DDW annual meeting through May 5th, San Diego. Multiple. This week, next, Novo Nordisk Q1 earnings, first oral Wegovy revenue, NVO May 6 Royalty Pharma. Q1 earnings RPRX May 11 Daiichi, Sankyo delayed earnings, tariff impact, DSNKY May 12 to 14 Fierce Biotech Week, Boston. Multiple May 19 RBC Global Healthcare Conference, New York. Multiple May 29 FDA RTCT public comment period. Closes in the May 29 to June. To ASCO annual meeting, Chicago. Multiple May 31 ASCO plenary. Resolute 302. Full data RVMD late. Q2 Lilly Found IO T2D. Filing under CNPVL late May 2026. Commerce. Section 232 Report on Medical Devices Expected MDT, BSX, SYK, ISRG Summer 2026 FDA RTCT Pilot Program. Launches. Multiple June 2026 Takeda CEO Transition, Julie Kim. TAC July 1 Medicare GLP-1 Bridge Program launches LLSI, NVO Q3 2026 Teva Emelix Close expected Teva H2 2026 Ecopy Pump, NDA filing expected Teva July. 31 Section 232 Pharma Tariffs, effective, large companies. Multiple H2 2026 Foundale, T2D Regulatory Action, expected LOYH2 2026 Lilly, Colonia. Close expected LOYH2 2026 Ajax Proof of Concept Data, expected LOYH2 2026 Revolution Medicines, CNPV NDA filing expected RVMDH2 2026 Novo Nordisk Weekly. US launch, first weekly insulin, NVO mid 2026 Lilly, Retatrutide Phase 3 Obesity Readouts, Triumph Program, LY Sept 19 Ultragenics, UX1011 PDUFA, Sanfilippo, Type A Gene Therapy, Rare Sept 29, Section 232. Pharma tariffs, effective, all other companies. Multiple deck, 7 Lilly Investment Community, meeting LOS End of 2026 PHRMA CEO, transition Tinta A Visit the Pro. Hub read full article. Is your company listed in the Biomed Nexus directory? 2104 companies across 14 categories. Claim or upgrade your listing. Sponsorship slots for 2026 are limited. See packages and pricing.